What up, world? Welcome to another episode of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast, episode 161, Super Bowl 60 recap. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the chilly and cloudy confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. This episode, we're going to be recapping Super Bowl 60, all the important things from the game. Obviously, credit and shout out to the Seattle Seahawks on the dark side for winning their second Super Bowl in franchise history. Also, we're going to talk about key things that I liked from the offense and their defense. Obviously, the Patriots talked about how ineffective they looked, what clearly was a problem with Drake May and the offense, my takeaways from that. Also, we'll talk on the halftime show and the controversy that all entailed, and the odds for Super Bowl 61, and some things going further. Speaking about the logo controversy that everyone's talking about right now at this moment, but before we go any further, I definitely want to make sure we give a shout out to several friends of the show. If you guys have been following the show, you guys know that StubHub and Viagogo, the number 1 and number 2 leading ticket resellers in the world to live events, shows, and concerts, is definitely friends and partners with the show. If you guys are looking to make some time, make some most of your experiences in this crazy world right now with the political landscape, names being dropped and released, Epstein files coming out. You might need a little break away from this big dose of reality that we having. Definitely check out some of these concert venues that's available on the screen. For StubHub subscribers or patrons of StubHub, you'll see the list of acts that are performing. Definitely make sure you check that out. Creative IDs will be in the link in the description box of the video. And for my UK subscribers, for Viagogo, definitely check this out too. Right here on the screen, links and Creative ID will be in the description box of the video. And as for you guys out there that have computers, obviously those watching me through computer now, or may have it for home, PC, work PCs, whatever you may need, your mobile. You guys are really looking to protect your, devices. Again, it's from ransomware, malware, anything, potential hackers on the dark web. Malware Bytes is definitely the place to check. If anything that you have that you're looking to protect digitally, they are definitely the place to confide in and look to. They have a special promo right now for a lot of new users signing up. I definitely implore you to check that out. And last but not least, for any of my avid gamers out there, big PlayStation fans, as you guys will see here on the screen, huge PlayStation sale going on right now. I implore you to hop on this opportunity to enhance your PlayStation experience. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. All right, guys, so getting into this episode, Super Bowl 60 recap. Patriots versus Seahawks. Obviously, Seahawks were able to secure the victory, 29-13, completely dominating the New England Patriots. We already know the Seattle Seahawks, literally, they have been one of those teams where I said throughout the season they had a chance. I said going into the playoffs, they were probably the biggest threat to Philadelphia for Philly's chances to possibly repeat as Super Bowl champions. And lo and behold, Seattle lasted through all of them, got to the Super Bowl, and wound up becoming Super Bowl champions. So got to give credit to the Seahawks for doing it. It did it in dominating fashion. The defense played a spectacular game. You would have to be... You have to be a person who just didn't really like defensive football. It wasn't an exciting game by any stretch of the imagination, but it shows you that great defense still dominates in this day and age in the NFL. And if you have a great defense, it'll suffocate any offense that you could put out there. Speaking about some of the key stats from the defense, I'm going to pull up some of the key statistics from the game book because I don't like giving you guys bullshit stats from any of these flunky or fluky sites. So we're going a bit here. We're going to zoom in on some stuff. Give me one moment. All right. So obviously it was a field goal game from the large portion of the game, but I went into it writing into my notes knowing that Kenneth Walker was going to have to run the ball substantially for Seattle to have a shot. Offensively, that was pretty much the story. Defensively was the game. I mean, the game was won primarily by this defensive performance. Tying the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl record for 7 sacks in the Super Bowl, obviously from the year prior. Another dominant defensive performance. I mean, you're talking about 2 forced fumbles on defense. You're talking about 1 forced fumble on defense, 2 fumble recoveries. Drake May was just going through hell out there. You got also the fact that there were no interceptions, but I mean, just the passing game for the New England Patriots was just completely ineffective. Just keep this in mind, guys. You had a grand total of 10 different receivers, 41 targets. You had 27 catches throughout the whole game from all those receivers. You only had 295 yards. Couldn't move the ball. That means they were on an average, they were moving the ball 11 yards per catch. Couldn't move the ball. You cannot win in the NFL playing like that. That's just suffocating defense. Also, excuse me, I was incorrect. There was interceptions. I do, pardon me for misspeaking. Nwansu had an interception. Obviously, Julian Love had an interception. Nwansu obviously was returned for a touchdown. Crazy performance by this defense. When you really sit back and think about it, it's one of those moments in time where I think right now, because there's such a love for offensive football, that people don't really sit back and take an appreciation for how dominant that performance was. I mean, ultimately, the New England Patriots didn't stand a fucking chance. I mean, when your defense is playing like that, when they're playing that sound, that stout, that ferocious coming off the edge, you have no chance. Going into, I mean, look at the third down efficiency. I mean, granted, just to tell you how good the defense played. The Seattle Seahawks were terrible on third down. They were 25% on third down. They were 4-16. The Patriots were better. But here's the key stat. When you look at the total yards, you're only talking about a difference of 4 yards. And you're like, oh, okay, well, obviously the game was pretty tight. That's why it was tight. Then you look at total rushing plays. This game was dictated by the old adage that has been the same throughout the NFL in the postseason forever. The number one things that travel in the postseason are a running game and a defense. And that is exactly what Seattle brought to the table in the Super Bowl. Complete dominant effort. Kenneth Walker deserves a shitload of credit as well. His performance, obviously winning Super Bowl MVP. 135 yards rushing on 27 carries, 161 total scrimmage yards, because obviously with Zach Charbonnet being out, he had to, be a receiving back, which is not his strong suit. But he's the first running back to win the award since Terrell Davis. I think that is incredible as well. With the injuries that he suffered, all the things that he's went through in his short tenure being in Seattle, I think this has warranted another contract for him. I think Seattle definitely, and obviously with the cap space they have, they're going to have a lot of money to play with. I think definitely bringing back Kenneth Walker is going to be a substantial move they need to make. He showed his worth. He showed his worth in that Super Bowl. To have your defense play that dominant and to have your running game just seal the deal for you, that is essentially what you want for a coaching staff or as a team. And you got to give the Patriots credit too, because I don't want to make it seem like it was just all New England. I mean, all Seattle. New England's defense really stepped up. New England's defense honestly played well enough to win this game. I know the final score is not indicative of that, but I mean, this defense was fucking amazing throughout this game. Just to give you some stats right here, some key statistics. Even though Kenneth Walker ran the ball all over the place on the New England Patriots, Sam Darnold only had 202 passing yards. I mean, their leading receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba, only had 27 yards receiving. He stepped out due to injury. Sam Darnold was relying on Cooper Kupp. Or reliable, So it just becomes one of those situations where the offense was being smothered by New England. I wrote in my notes, New England had to stay aggressive. This was a game where they had to really dictate things. They needed those turnovers that Seattle was able to get. They needed those same turnovers. It just wasn't happening. It looked like Sam Darnold was possibly going to give them the ball. It looked like Sam Darnold was trying to give them some interceptions, but they weren't able to make some plays. Shout out to Christian Gonzalez. Gonzo definitely made some fucking plays in that game. 3 pass deflections. I wrote in my notes, he literally saved 2 or 3 touchdowns early in that game by the defense that he played. So amazing performance there. Got to give him his credit. That man has been outstanding. Now, on the bad part with the New England Patriots, Josh McDaniels' philosophy of game plan for whatever the fuck he had going on for this game was completely ineffective. Drake May, I know a lot of people are going to say it was a shoulder injury. I know a lot of people are going to make excuses and say that, but he didn't really look well going into this postseason. They had some luck, which you kind of need to get to the Super Bowl. They had some luck. They didn't really have to run through a gauntlet of teams that were really that. Looking for quick and unlimited access to the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast? Will look no further than on Apple Podcasts. Listen to the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast on Apple Podcasts. QR code is available for quick access to the channel. Also, check us out on Spotify as well. Thanks. Have a great day. And obviously, playing against a team like the Denver Broncos, you definitely want to make sure that they were going to be tested. But Obviously, with the weather, the Bo Nix injury, CJ Stroud completely imploding and playing like shit, they weren't really challenged. They got to the Super Bowl, played against a team that was prepared for them offensively and their attack. Josh McDaniels just did not have Drake May prepared. Drake May wasn't really ready for this game. They looked like a team that was ineffective. Will Campbell took a lot of shit, definitely, obviously, for his performance. The offensive line didn't look good. Might have been some beginner's luck, y'all. Might have been a team that just overachieved a bit because they had a great coaching staff, veteran coaches that really galvanized the guys and made them overachieve and push through. This is why you hire a Mike Vrabel. This is why you hire a Josh McDaniels as your offensive coordinator. So I'm not shocked by any of this. The performance was a bit startling, was a bit surprising. Wasn't expect the Patriots looked that bad, but I was expecting New England to lose the game. So that being said, now the odds of repeating. I think, well, before I get on that, let me not forget, got to give Sam Darnold his credit. Sam Darnold played one of the best games of his career. Now, obviously, he was not prolific in his stats. I mean, as I said, he only threw for 202 yards. Wasn't his best game. He was only averaging like 5 yards an attempt. The Patriots did everything possibly to take away Jackson Smith-Njigba to make sure he wasn't a huge factor. That being said, he made the right plays at the right moments to win the game. Got to give him his credit. First quarterback in USC's history to win a Super Bowl, to start and win a Super Bowl. And in their 10-year history and a long list of guys that's been drafted high and didn't make it or made it and flamed out or whatever reason. And obviously with his story, being a journeyman, being on 5 different rosters, you have to give Sam Darnold a shitload of credit. He definitely deserves this moment, and credit is definitely being given to him. And he definitely makes the Jets and the Vikings look like shit. I think this is what led to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah's firing. I think this is what led to a lot of changes that happened around the NFL, because the fact that Sam Darnold was able to win with that roster, Geno Smith looking at you, and then, guys made moves and kind of hitched their wagons with certain guys, and it didn't work out. So, be that as it may, Sam Darnold got the monkey off his back, now Super Bowl champion. Got to give him credit to that, and help get the monkey off USC's back, too. And also, last but not least, I want to talk about some stats from the game, which I thought were fucking horrendous for the New England Patriots. When you talk about shitty offensive performances, just leave you with this note before I wrap up this segment of Super Bowl 60. When you talk about horrible performances, the Patriots gained a grand total of 51 yards in the first half of this game, which was the second worst performance in Super Bowl history. Obviously, second to the Kansas City Chiefs the year prior, who only had 23 yards in the first half against the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59. That is how dominant this performance was. Seattle definitely made New England reevaluate everything they're doing offensively. I think New England definitely is going to have to come in with a new attack and a new approach. You're not going to have to reinvent the wheel, but you definitely have to come in with a new attack and a new approach, because that game put you on notice. You are on film now. I think Drake May, he showed a lot of moxie, a lot of character about coming back in that game and trying to make it an effort, but it was just frivolous. It was completely frivolous at that point. They didn't really stand a chance. Be that as it may, he just, you kind of realize at some point when you're playing a game that it's just not your fucking day. And I think Drake May realized it early on. It wasn't his day, but he still tried to play through it, still tried to persevere. And I give the kid a shitload of credit, because let's be honest, a lot of people probably would have folded in that moment. A lot of people would have sat there and tried to make excuses to why things didn't work. He didn't. He stood in front of it. The only thing I would say now, though, is the lights are on him now. The lights are on him now. This year, you kind of had a lot of, second year good vibes coming in. You had Mike Vrabel coming in. You had Josh McDaniels coming in. And you just had a situation where it was just kind of like a perfect storm. You signed good free agents. You had a good roster coming into the year. So you kind of figure like, all right, they make the playoffs, play well, great. They made the Super Bowl, everything's going well. Now they have this situation where they flame out. I don't think this team will be in a situation where they won't be back. I think there's going to be an opportunity where they can definitely come back and play well. However, it's really going to come down to what type of offensive strategy McDaniels implements, because, again, the film is out there now. Teams are going to definitely know how to attack this Patriots team. The weak spot is the offensive line. So again, credit to Seattle for exposing it, but more importantly for winning it, and also helping getting DeMarcus Lawrence at Super Bowl. He was definitely right. He won another championship before the Dallas Cowboys did, so that's another person that's won before Dallas. Be that as it may, before we wrap up this episode, we're going to talk about Super Bowl 61 and the odds for Super Bowl 61 and who they got to be there. Obviously, Seattle Seahawks, plus 750 to plus 800 odds to be repeated Super Bowl champions. Obviously so, with the roster and everything that they have and the cap space they have going into next year. Los Angeles Rams are number 2, plus 800 to plus 950 as the top favorites, followed closely by the Ravens, Bills, and the Eagles, all within that plus 1,200 to plus 1,500 range. So again, early odds on favorites. Seattle has a huge chance to possibly get back. Chargers round up that top 6 with plus 1,500 odds. Kansas City as well, plus 1,500. You got San Fran with plus 17. They even have New England as plus 13. So they don't even have New England as huge odds to get back, but definitely within the top 10. So we shall see how things play out with the offseason, the draft, scouting combine coming up. A lot of things to definitely digest and unpack. I'll definitely be here for it. Love you guys for definitely plugging in throughout this season. More content coming, like I said, scouting combine, Senior Bowl, live stream definitely coming out. Be up for that. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care. I love you, and enjoy the rest of your day.